2026. It seems like their people should be speaking out so that these things don't happen. That's pretty much my questions, and I'd like to get your outlook on that.
Yeah, look, Dwight, thank you for the question. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think we need more of our community to come up and speak out against all of this. We have to amplify what's going on. We got to reach out to our friends, our neighbors, and call this out for what it is. It's a destruction of our democracy. It is setting us backwards in so many ways. The fact that we have a billionaire that has not been elected running our country, or running it in the shadows, or not even in the shadows. Actually, he's leading cabinet meetings. He's speaking in the Oval Office and dictating terms for this country. This is what we need to do. Is we need to continue to fight back through the community, and the community needs to speak up, and then the community needs to continue to reach out to each one of the departments to share their concerns with the local, county, and federal, state and federal, so that we can continue to fight back. And we need to hear from our constituents. What you shared is right on. So thank you so much, Dwight, for your question.
Thank you, Congressman. Folks, just a bit ago, we asked a poll question. We asked you where you got your news. I'd like to share the results with you. 22% said television, 7% radio, 15% newspapers, 35% social media, and 21% said other. Our next question comes from Catherine of Midway. Catherine, you are live on the call with Congressman Tran. Please go ahead and ask your question, Catherine. Catherine, you're live on the call. Please go ahead.
I think we lost her, Robin.
Congressman, I've got the question in front of me. I'll ask on Catherine's behalf. She asks, what will happen with the budget passing, and how can you keep the fight to stop these cuts?
Thank you, Catherine, for the question. The budget process is moving its way through the House and the Senate. And then the appropriators will start looking at where they're going to be able to cut and come up with the response that they need. At the end of the day, what we can do as congressional members, especially the ones in the minority party, is to push out our message on why this budget is not the will of the people, why it does not, how this budget is not, the fact that the budget is not properly serving the community is what we need to do to make sure that everyone understands that this is a Republican budget. This is a budget that was set by the Trump administration and Elon Musk, someone who's never been elected to office. We'll have to fight to continue. Our federal dollars are being spent on housing, access to healthcare, education. Those are the priorities that we have to keep in mind and keep reminding the Republicans across the aisle. Other than that, it has to be through constitutional means that we replace a budget next year through having the majority. Thank you, Catherine, for that question.
Thank you, Congressman. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to remind you, if you have a question, please press *3 on your telephone keypad. And if you're enjoying this update and you'd like to subscribe to Congressman Tran's e-newsletter, please press *6. Congressman, your next question comes from Leonard of Fullerton. Leonard, you're live on the call with the Congressman. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you for your participation in this, Congressman. My question is sort of personal. Have you tried to make friends with anyone in the opposing party? And I know it's a very hard thing to do, but I think a great deal could be accomplished if there was some social interaction amongst people in both parties, which used to take place many years ago, but doesn't seem to be taking place now.
Yeah, Leonard, thanks for that question. I try. I think a lot of my colleagues try as well. But at the end of the day, when you reach out, it takes two to tango, as they say. I've reached out. I've asked Republicans to lunch, to dinner. I've asked them to sponsor my bill. I'm trying to work with them because for me, it's all about communication. It's about building relationships. We got to keep the communication open with one another, so that way we can build on stronger bonds and stronger rapport. So I'm doing my part. I hope that they do not have the fear that they have now, which is the fear of retribution from the Trump administration, and that one day they can start working with their Democratic counterparts again. So that is a hope, and I appreciate you sharing that, Leonard.
Thank you, Congressman. We have an online question. The question is, what are you doing to protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid?
Thank you, Robin. So this goes back to what I was talking about with the budget last night. Democrats are voting no on the Republican rip-off budget because they are trying to rip off the everyday, ordinary, working-class Americans by getting rid of Medicaid. Who's taking care of the bills when grandma's in the nursing home? Those are payments made through Medicaid. These cuts are going to be drastic, and it's going to affect everyone in America. So the Democrats are pushing back. We voted no. We're not going to pass any budget where Medicaid and Medi-Cal is cut. That's one thing that we're using to exercise our right and our power. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you. Next question comes from Larry of La Palma. Larry, you're live on the call with the Congressman. Please go ahead and ask your question, Larry.
The town hall.
Larry, you're live on the call. Go right ahead.
I think it's very important that we have the town hall, and thank you so much for hosting. My question, I'm a veteran also, and also a federal employee with the Food and Drug Administration. And I have a concern with the disinformation RFK and administration is currently releasing regarding vaccines. The FDA's flu vaccine panel was scheduled to meet next month, and from what I understand, that panel has been canceled. And that's important because that will set the vaccine for seniors for next fall. So again, what can we do? What can we do to help you push back against the disinformation?
Larry, thank you for your service and appreciate the question. I think vaccines are very important. I own a pharmacy with my wife. We vaccinate patients that come in. Vaccine saves lives. That is how it works. We have a secretary that doesn't believe in any of this, that believes in conspiracies, and we have to look no further than what's happening in Texas today. There was a measles outbreak, and due to this dangerous disinformation sowing doubt about its effectiveness, someone died. This is the danger of having people in the administration that has no idea what they're doing. They're incompetent, and it's very dangerous. So, I will continue to use my voice to speak up, promoting the importance of getting vaccinated, and that's what I'm going to do. Thank you, Larry, for the question.
Thank you, Congressman. Your next question comes from Camry of Fullerton. Camry, you are live on the call. Please go ahead and ask Representative Tran your question. Camry, you're live on the call.
Yes. So with what's happening in Gaza and what Trump is stating that he wants to do as far as, clearing all the Palestinians and putting his resort up, does this, I would hope, need to be cleared by Congress first? And how can, we as the Americans protest this and really show our displeasure for moving an entire people away? And thank you for holding this town hall.
Thank you, Camry, for your question. Look, I don't think there are words out there to fully capture how reprehensible President Trump's comments are about removing Palestinian people from their land and building waterfront property at the center of such a horrific conflict. This is a problem that has been going on in the Middle East for a long time between Gaza and Israel, and I personally believe in a two-state solution. That is the only way that we're going to have peace there. You can't eliminate one whole race without just calling it genocide, right? So at the end of the day, we have to work towards a two-state solution. The current leadership in both those countries are, they got to go. And I hope for peace in my lifetime, and I hope that we do get an administration that will work towards that instead of talking about building some waterfront property in Palestine. Thank you, Camry, for your question.
Thank you, Congressman. Folks, we did mention that this is an interactive call, and we appreciate your participation. We do have another poll question for you. We'd like to know how you feel about President Trump's first month in office. Please press 1 if you feel very positive. Press 2 if you're somewhat positive. 3 if you're somewhat negative. 4 if you're very negative. 5 if you have no opinion. And I'll repeat the question for you. We'd like to know, how do you feel about President Trump's first month in office? Please press 1 if you're very positive, 2 if you are somewhat positive, 3 if you are somewhat negative, 4 if you are very negative, and 5 if you have no opinion. Our next call comes from Nicole, also of Fullerton. Nicole, you are live on the call with the Congressman. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, Congressman. I am curious what your number one focus is over the next 30 days.
Hi, Nicole. Thank you for that question. Each day is a different day here in Washington, D.C. and in Congress. I would say when I wake up every single day, my focus is to deliver for my constituents, and whether it be, sponsoring a bill like I did today, or making sure good people, constituents of mine who get stuck in a tough situation like Catherine gets out of the Congo. So each day has its own priorities. Thank you for the questions, Nicole.
Thank you, Congressman. Next call is Toby from Westminster. Toby, you're live on the call with Representative Tran. Please go ahead and ask your question, Toby.
Thank you for having this town hall, and I understand a number of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle have decided to stop having town halls. My question relates to your service on the Armed Services Committee. I'm wondering how you feel that the cuts, the elimination or firing of the top military officers and of the Judge Advocate Generals of the services will impact on military readiness and on the future of the military.
Thank you, Toby, for the call and the question and joining us tonight. I'll say that our service members, the military spouses, are some of the most highly qualified professionals in our workforce today. My bill, Protect Veterans Jobs Act, I will be opposing further cuts to DOD. Earlier this week, President Trump announced cutting 5,000 jobs at DOD. He's fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs. That's wrong, and I think that's what you were alluding to in your question. He's doing what he needs to do to install the loyalists in his administration, and I think that's wrong. I think that is something that we're going to fight against here as a party, and we've called them out on it. Thank you, Toby, for the question.
Thank you, Congressman. Your next question comes from Kimberly. Kimberly, you are live on the call with the Congressman. Please go ahead and ask your question, Kimberly.
Hi, thank you for taking my question. I first want to say that I really appreciate you having this town hall, and I'm bolstered by everything I've been hearing you saying. I'm very happy with a lot of the opinions you've expressed. I wanted to ask you, as your constituents, what concrete steps can we take now to help you in the fight against Trump's agenda?
Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for the question. I believe in sharing the stories of our experiences of what's been going on with the administration, whether you're one of the individuals that have been terminated or fired from this chaos that's going on, whether it's the effects of the funding freeze, like what Catherine had to go through. The administration needs to know real life impacts of what they are doing to families on the ground. You all are my ears and eyes on the ground. I rely on all of you, my constituents, to share information with my office, engaged at all levels of government, not just at the federal level. We have to educate each other and involve our friends and family who are otherwise not involved, that usually did not engage. This is not a time to stay disengaged. It's a dark time for our nation, but we cannot give up. Keep making your voices heard. That is one of the best ways you can fight back and get people to share their stories if they've been affected. Thank you so much, Kimberly.
Thank you, Congressman. We did just ask a poll question. We'd like to share those results with you. We asked you, how do you feel about President Trump's first month in office? 2% of you said very positive, 1% said somewhat positive, 3% said somewhat negative, 92% said very negative, 2% had no opinion. Congressman, your next question comes from Dipali of Cyprus. Dipali, you are live on the call with the Congressman. Please go ahead and ask your question, Dipali.
Thank you, Catherine. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Hi, Representative Tran. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I truly appreciate it. As I said, my name is Dipali Bhandari, and I am a biochemistry professor at CSU Long Beach, where my students and I study how cancer cells survive stress. This research is currently funded by the NIH, and it's crucial because it'll help us find better and more specific drugs to fight cancer. What worries me is the attempt by the White House to severely cut NIH-supported research. And so especially their recent decision to reduce the SNA or the indirect costs to universities will cut $79 million to our state. We'll have to lay off our researchers, our staff, and it will drastically hurt my and my colleagues' ability to do research. In my opinion, scientific research should be protected by everybody because it helps everybody, and it should not be a partisan issue but a human one. So I please urge you to help us protect science in America, and I just want to know if you and your colleagues are already trying to do something about it. Thank you so much for your time, and I would be very happy to discuss this further at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Dipali, and thank you for the work that you do. I want to share that I deeply oppose cuts to research funding. The NIH is well renowned in the world because of the investments we have made in the development of cures to diseases, medication to improve people's quality of life. I own a pharmacy with my wife in Anaheim, and we get it. We know how important medication is and science is. Right. Earlier this month, I want you to know that I joined the entire California Democratic delegation in a letter to the NIH acting director, Dr. Memoli, expressing my deep concern about the impact of the White House order of 15% cap on research funding and how these cuts would only stand to harm patients and diminish American research excellence. Investment in research and development are what make the United States globally competitive, and we must continue those investments. I thank you so much for your question, Dipali.
Thank you, Congressman. As a reminder, folks, if you are enjoying this update and you would like more information or to stay up to date and you'd like to receive the Congressman's e-newsletter, please press *6 on your telephone keypad. But you can also visit tran.house.gov to subscribe to the e-newsletter. We've got one last poll for you this evening before we take our next caller. We'd like to know, what kind of events do you want Congressman Tran's office to host? Press 1 for Federal Resource Fair. Press 2 for Job Opportunities Fair. 3 for Passport Workshop. Press 4 for Small Business Roundtable. And please press 5 if there's something else you have on your mind, something other than what we've just mentioned. I'm going to repeat the question. We ask, what kind of events would you like Congressman Tran's office to host? Press 1 for Federal Resource Fair, 2 for Job Opportunities Fair, 3 for Passport Workshop, 4 for Small Business Roundtable, or 5 if there's something else. Our next question comes from Claire of Westminster. Claire, you are live on the call with the Congressman. Please go ahead and ask your question, Claire.
Hello, Congressman Tran, and thank you also for taking my question. I'm a special education services provider in the public schools, and I'm deeply concerned about Donald Trump's plan to dismantle the Department of Education and the potential effects on students with special needs as well as students who are in general education. What can you and your fellow congressmen do to prevent the dismantling of the Department of Education? And is there anything that we as educators and parents can also do?
Yeah, Claire, thank you for the question. You know, I have 3 young kids, and my kids are public schooled, and I know how important education funding is. You know, one of the things that I keep hearing from educators is that the federal government is not funding its disability programs to the fullest extent. That's something that I see as a priority and that I have to do. You know, teachers are people that I have greatest respect for. My sister-in-law is a teacher in Garden Grove, and you know, I see how hard it is for her to do her job and how the struggle of being paid barely enough to love the kids that she educates and she teaches is something that motivates me and also pushes me to make sure that I fight to ensure that teachers are retained and respected and paid what they're worth, right? So, you know, there are a lot of talks out there as well about privatizing education with vouchers and whatnot. That's something that I stand against. I think our public school system is something that we have to invest in, and we have to do more. So thank you so much, Claire, for that question.
Thank you, Congressman. Ladies and gentlemen, we truly thank you for your participation in our poll questions this evening. Just to wrap up, we just asked you, what kinds of events would you like Congressman Tran's office to host? Here are the results for you. 23% of you said Federal Resource Fair. 18% of you said Job Opportunities Fair. 5% said Passport Workshop. 10% said Small Business Roundtable. And 44% of you said Other. Our next call is from Andrew of Buena Park. Andrew, you are live on the call with Representative Tran. Please go ahead and ask your question, Andrew.
Hello. Can you hear me all right?
I can, Andrew. Thank you.
Okay. I would like to say thank you again, Representative Tran, for hosting this event. And thank you as well for voting no on that House bill last night. Can you also send our thanks to Representative Mullins and Peterson? I know that they also had health issues, and they rushed to also show their solidarity with us during this time. One of the things that also hits hard with me at the moment is that with the LA fires that happened last month, it was a very traumatic and devastating experience that we all witnessed here in California. And I was actually very moved with the amount of community effort to actually help those that were in need. My family and a lot of our neighbors were able to help fundraise for a little bit, get as much like clothing and food supplies to those that were in need, help promote and support the GoFundMe pages. But there's some very disturbing things that I saw where Speaker Johnson was actually saying that they were going to condition disaster relief for California if we do not change our policies to match whatever they suggest, which is very deeply concerning with me because we elect our state officials and also our governor so that we can run the state with what the people decide. And with also President Trump threatening to sue the governor of Maine because she is not following with the agenda that's also deeply concerning. So I want to know, like, what the Democrats plan to do to fight back against this government overreach, and how we as constituents can also participate with this. Thank you again, and I'm always willing to discuss more if need be.
Thank you, Andrew. You know, definitely will pass on your appreciation to Rep. Mullen and Peterson when I get a chance. You know, I believe that protecting our homeland by preventing disasters, securing our borders, and responding to threats is vitally important to domestic security. Natural disasters are becoming more prevalent in places like California. We saw that with the LA wildfires that gripped our state earlier this year. DHS and our first responders in the district need to have the resources and support from policymakers so we can save lives and quickly respond to threats. I've signed several letters just in this past month on this very topic. The California Democratic delegation letters supporting Governor Gavin Newsom's February 21st, 2025 request for nearly $40 billion in disaster supplemental funding to support the recovery efforts following the January 2025 LA fires. And I've also signed on to a February 10th, 2025 letter to FEMA and the SBA requesting an extension of disaster assistance application deadlines currently set for March 10, 2025 for those that were affected by the LA wildfires. You know, under no circumstances do I agree with conditioning aid. I was on the House floor talking about how important it is to make sure that California gets the full funding that the people deserves for losing their home and being upended. You know, California is a donor state. We pay more in federal taxes than we receive back in aid. The Democratic majority stood by the red states when they had their natural disasters, and Congress should not change course with that precedent. So I strongly oppose any type of conditioning aid with these wildfires. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your question. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Congressman. We are nearing the top of the hour, sir, and we have time for one more call. We've got Maureen from Fullerton. Maureen, you are live on the call with Congressman Tran. Please go ahead and ask your question, Maureen.
Good evening, and so glad to be here. My question is, when you get your office settled, or even before, when are you going to have in-person town halls? Also, I was watching yesterday, and on the vote on HR 832, C-SPAN cut out, and I never got the results. So what was the result on that when they called for the vote? But I'm looking forward to a lot of in-person interviews and a lot of events that you go to, because the more you get out among your people, the more the people feel that you're there to help in any way you can. Thank you.
Thank you, Maureen. I appreciate the question. You know, I'll share that barely 2 months in office, my team and I have been hitting the ground running. We've been meeting with local nonprofits, our chambers of commerces, local firefighters, law enforcement, and so much more. The team and I are in the process of organizing a number of engagements for me over the coming months. However, with Republicans in charge of the House agenda, unfortunately, we're not being given many weeks to be home in our district, which is where I want to be, right? If you need, I want you to know this, that if you need any assistance with casework or outreach or federal agencies, please reach out to my office. You can contact me at tran.house.gov. Again, that's tran.house.gov. And you know, it's not that I don't want to have in-person town halls. It's something that we're working towards, but it's hard when the Republicans control the agenda, and I'm stuck here in D.C. Trust me, I much rather be in the district with my 3 young kids and with you, Maureen. And then with regards to your question on HR 832, this is a bill that I was proud to work on. It's the Advocacy Improvement Act of 2025, which is helping small businesses access international markets. This bill, by the way, passed the floor on Monday. almost unanimously with 396 to 15 votes. And I will keep working to ensure that it becomes law. Maureen, thank you so much for your question. I want to thank everyone for their time. You know, the fact that you all took the time to participate in tonight's town hall, I am so grateful to have the chance to connect with you and talk about the issues that are important to our community. If you would like to receive email updates from our office, please press *6 now. If you need help from our office, please go to my website at tran.house.gov or call 202-225-2415. If you have not talked with a staff member, please leave your name and email address after the tone and we'll get you subscribed. Thank you, and I hope to talk again soon. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.